To Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited being the first and ever first program in the year 2025. We are grateful to God, to Allah, that He has managed to bring us all the way from where we've been up to here today. And we don't take it for granted because not everyone has made it to 2025. Welcome to yet another show of the Parenting Pathways on the Euroforum platform, a platform where Ugandans in the diaspora come together with Ugandans and at home and those all over the world we connect, we explore the joys and challenges of parenthood. I'm Janatia here, Nagolola, your host tonight. I'm so passionate about parenting and also nurturing the next generation in knowledge, in faith, and compassion. So tonight we are looking at a very interesting topic, and that is we are diving into raising tomorrow's trailblazers, and also nurturing leadership and resilience from infancy, right from childhood. Now, parents, if I'm to ask, how many of you have ever wondered while babies wail at night, very late at night, maybe at 2 p.m., they wake up, they cry, do you take it as a sign of practicing their assertiveness, or you take it as a way of rehearsing their future skills of leadership? Me and you, we are in the same bracket, and it's not good to ask such questions because that's why perhaps we have this space where we come and share experiences and also answer questions that we've been having for long. To help us unpack this topic, we have a very experienced person, and we are grateful we are having him for the second time. And this is none other than Dr. Gardner, RH, PhD. He has been with us here for like a month back, and he's going to help us. He's so passionate in fostering emotional intelligence and resilience in children, and he has done it for a couple of years. Yes, Dr. Gardner, kindly come introduce yourself to our listeners, to our viewers, and also let them know a little bit more about you. Dr. Gardner, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jeanette. Happy New Year to all that are listening in. And yeah, I don't take it for granted. It's by God's grace or Allah's grace. But yes, as Jeanette said, my name is Gardner. I consider myself as a life learner, but I'm also a co-founder of Mind Heritage, an organization or a company that empowers minds to transform lives. My life purpose is very simple. That entails what I do is to awaken our consciousness to face life challenges head on, living happy and fulfilled. That's what I do for a living, and that's what I do each and every day to transform lives, to empower lives, empower minds and transform life. Yes, back to you, Janet.
Thanks so much, Dr. Gardner. We are glad to have you, and I'm happy to see that we have just the right person for this topic. Before we start our topic, I would ask each and every parent out there to pause a little bit and maybe tell us, as in, have you ever realized any signs of leadership or any qualities of leadership in your child, maybe from as young as they are? Maybe some qualities like confidence, integrity, maybe resilience. Have you ever seen any quality of leadership in your child? I will ask you to drop it in the chat box, whether it's integrity, it's resilience, or anything you've seen in your child, so that we can know, because Dr. Gardner, I can assure you these qualities, as you told us last time, we can realize them in our children and also nurture them so that we can get the best out of our children. So, Dr. Gardner, as we dive into our conversation, looking at nurturing trailblazers of tomorrow and also nurturing leadership and resilience in our children, how can the role of childhood, what is the role, how can you explain the role of childhood in building leadership in a child? Leadership and resilience in a child, because someone out there may be wondering, knowing that maybe we become leaders when we grow up. That's when we know that we can be leaders, and that's when we start engaging in leadership. How does this part of childhood help us build that sense of leadership and resilience into our children?
Yes, how can we build resilience and the leadership attributes in our children? It's a question that many of us get on to question. It's more or less of that, the chicken and the egg, which one came first, you know? And we can have a conversation and we may never get to a conclusion. But to me, it reminds me still of the same question. I think it's one of these great leadership gurus. I think Dale Carnegie, the guy who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, he asked a simple question: are leaders born or they are made? You know, that it's a question that we always ask ourselves. But he comes back to tell us that before you become a leader, you need to be born, right? So you can't be a leader if you're not born. You see, even Christ, for him, I'm a Christian. For him to come and lead us, he had to come and be in flesh like us so that he can lead. And the same thing happened with Muhammad or Allah, the people believe. But now, first of all, we have to understand that for you to be a leader, you need to be born first. Now, it takes intention and hard work, right? For example, when you move in Kampala, for those that have traveled within Kampala, you look at our tallest tower. Is it the Crest Towers? I think that tall tower in the city. When you look at it, it's very beautiful and standing tall. I don't know how many levels it has. But what we do not see is the foundation, right?
Yeah.
That tower stands tall based on the foundation it's built on. And the same thing happens with our children. And this is the same principle that Greek understood best. You remember the Greek were one of the best fighters or warriors that the world had. And for them, the analogy was very simple. Give me a child who's below 6 years and I'll show you who a man is. Literally meaning that they would get and make a man between those years. And this is the same thing we're trying to talk about. If we want to get great leaders, it has to go back to the grassroots. Pick these kids, give them the morals, give them the traits, give them the attributes we believe in that will make them better. And then when they grow, they will live with those morals, with those beliefs, with those customs, without those traits that they have acquired as children. But then the biggest challenge is that we who are raising these children actually do not take the moment to be able to understand them. You asked a very good question at the beginning. If you're a parent, are you seeing some of these leadership attributes in our children? It's a question we're supposed to ask. And the question is yes or no. But regardless of whether you see or you don't see, as a parent, you know. And these are some of the attributes we're supposed to equip our children. But the challenge now, the question is, how can we then build on these attributes? Because we know them. The first thing I would bring out on how we can really build these attributes or align our children with our leadership traits and skills we want them to have. One, we need to build a trust, right? If you're starting a foundation of a house, you either go to roofings for those wire mesh, those big wires to use, or you go to Hima Cement or Tororo Cement to buy cement, or you go to these stone granaries and buy stones to make the foundation, right? So we need to trust the process, because we know that these kids will not actually reflect on these attributes today. It's a long process, or it is a long-term project. But because if each material you're using to build is the material you trust best, then when you envision the finished product, you believe it and trust in it because you use the right materials. So we need to build trust with our kids, right? Do they trust? We need to have these safe spaces where we can see them do something and failing and coming back and telling them you can do it one more time. The second thing is we need to promote curiosity. Statistically, they say a young child in a day hears over 30 to 40 no's and don'ts. They want to go and touch fire, like, hey, don't. They get up, you're like, no, you're going to fall. Everything they're listening is delimiting their ability. And that hinders their curiosity. That hinders their exploration. That means they don't learn, they don't believe in themselves, because everything we are talking or saying to them is, you cannot do it, it cannot happen, stop, So we need to give them this space that even when they fall, we're able to see them fall and come back and pick them. If you're very curious with kids, when you go out, look at them in a new place. They'll keep walking, but turning to see if you're looking at them. That really shows that they trust that when you're looking at them, then they are safe. Now, when you hide, they'll start crying because they cannot see you anymore. So that is the space we need to build as parents. Allow them to explore, let them be curious, but let us be there to see and guide them. The other is we need to understand their emotions, regulate them. Not to stop, but to just regulate. Tell them if they're to cry, let them cry out loud. You know that famous saying that men do not cry?
Yes, I know.
Created more of mental disorders today. Yeah, because that's what they told us.
Nature of boys.
Yes, because they told it to us at a younger age. Now, as parents, we need to make these kids understand that it is well. If you're to cry, cry. If you are bitter, be bitter. If you're to be happy, be happy. At times, even when a child goes and starts laughing, you hear the parent asking them, what are you laughing at? You then have even to have something, but maybe they just remembered of something and they started to laugh. And that's how now we understand them and nurture them to become the leaders that we want them to be. Yeah.
Okay. Doctor, talking about the many no's and many don'ts that our children hear in a day that you talked about, could it be one of the reasons as to why some of the causes of the limiting beliefs in us as adults, could they be stemming from that? Because whatever I wanted to do, you were refused.
Yes. Now, it goes back to the analogy I gave you for the Greek, right? Who understood that give me a child who's below 6 years and I will show you who a man is. But the question is now, I tell people for us to be able to move forward, we have to move backwards. The things I believe in are the things they have made me believe in. But if you ask me why I believe in certain things, I do not have an answer. So I've just become a product of what the community, the society, the families, and everybody has made me believe. So that's why when you ask about the millennials today, what they believe in actually is not what they believe in, because they do not know. And at times, we believe in things that we do not know. And that hinders our growth, hinders our transformation. That's why curiosity has to come in to question, You know, that I'll still come back to this. You know, that they say the best learners are the ones that question. You go back and ask why and what and from where, you know, and that is how now you build your understanding to find that truth, because the truth is self-centered. It's not somebody who will say, no, this is the truth. No, you have to find it. So we need to understand that even the things we know as parents may not be the same things that these kids are up to know, because the society, the community, the level at which you grew in has quite changed. Today, you're talking about AI, you're talking about emotional intelligence, you're talking about the advancement in technology. Yet in our years, we do not have these things, right? So for them, their level of understanding and comprehension and perceiving things is quite different from what we think we know. So it's giving them the safe space, as I say, the safe space for us to, yes, say, we know that this is what we want them to be, but how can we nurture them to get there? So it's a full-time job.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, actually. So talking about, okay, like a parent, what are those foundation traits that a parent can look at in a child below 5 years and maybe know that this is what I can focus on to build the resilience and leadership in my child? What are those foundational traits that we can focus on below 5 years?
Now, when you talk about resilience, right? When you talk about leadership, resilience and leadership are not the cause. They are results. For me to be able to fall again and fall forward and fall forward, it is a cause. There should be a reason. I normally tell this story when I'm teaching or talking about resilience. When you look at the light bulb, the light you're using, the light I'm using, Thomas Edison say, okay, they say that he failed 9,099 times.
Yeah.
Right? And we all go there, and most motivational speakers go there and say, hey, you have to fail 9,999. And when you fail the second time, you're like, hi, I can't go even the third time. Now the question is, for me to be able to fail 999 times, there should be a problem that I'm willing to solve. Now, many at that time, during that era, there were so many innovators, but they never failed, as Thomas Edison did. But for him, the reason as to why he was willing to fail 9,999 times was that every time he was working, he would stop working when the sun set, when it became night. And he always asked himself, why do I have to sleep, right? Yet I'm supposed to be working. So I should have the sun, a small sun, lighting for me so that I can proceed with my working. So the 9,900, yes, he failed at was because he was trying to solve a problem. So if you can't find a problem, you cannot be resilient. Many of us have failed to be resilient because we don't have the things that we're willing to die for. I'll give you an example of Nelson Mandela. Was in prison for 27 years.
Yeah, 27
right?
years.
But during his prison, if you read his book, Walk to Freedom, he talks about how many offers the government by then was giving him to denounce the ANC. But he never. So he persisted 1 year, 2 years, 3, up to 27. Why? Because he wanted equality in South Africa. He wanted to end the apartheid policy in South Africa. So he had something to die for and willing to live for. The same thing happens. Now, we cannot train our kids to be resilient unless we see them fail. Now, when they fail, now you come back and show them, actually, you've not failed. The only person who fails is the person who has not tried. Now, the mindset behind it is that whenever you fail, look for a positive side. There is something you're learning from it. So as a parent, are we able to look at the positive side and tell them, no, don't look at it as failure. Look at it in this way. And they believe that actually they have not failed. They should find better ways of doing something. So it shouldn't be a result. It should be a cause. And that cause only starts when you're curious, when you give them the space, and when you're able to help them move forward. Fail forward, not fail backward. Because every time somebody fails, as a child, even as adults, we have 3 options. The first option is to fall and keep down. You've had those scenarios. There are things you don't do because you failed at them. So you don't wake up again.
You even make a vow never to try again.
Yes. Now, majority of us fall in that space. The second is that you will fall and move forward. Now, that person who falls and moves forward will fall again in the same hole, right? Or meet the same problem. But the most interesting person and the most dangerous person, the person who falls, looks back to what made him fall and move forward. Now, we as parents have to be there to let our children fall. We get them up, show them what made them fall, and show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But that only happens when you are present, you give them the space and give them the freedom to fall. Yes. And that's how we build resilience.
Doctor, right there, parents are struggling so much to protect their children. They are struggling to protect their children and at the same time wanting them to try new challenges. I don't know whether you get me, because we want them to try new challenges, but at the same time, we are struggling to protect them maybe from being hurt, from maybe falling so much. So how can a parent strike a balance between protecting their children and then letting them try new challenges? Because as when it comes to a parent and a child, you know what it means. So, okay, leading them into resilience, we have a struggle there in between protecting them and then wanting them to try the new challenges. How can we strike a balance as parents?
There is that famous quote that a man who wishes to adventure should be willing to lose sight of the shores. If you want to move forward, you need to be willing to lose sight of the shores. Now, we as parents, many a times, we are dilly-dallying or failing to strike the balance because most of the things, when you listen keenly, most of the things we want our children to become good at are the things we wanted as me, but I did not get. Now I want my child to.
Yeah, by the way, yeah.
I failed because I never even tried.
You failed being a doctor, now you want your child to be a doctor.
Yes. Now, it keeps haunting you down. You're like, am I doing the right thing? How much should they fall? Or how deep should they fall? And when they try, you're like, no, but they're going to fail just like I did. So you want to adventure, but you don't want to lose sight of the shores. So you're in between. Go and don't go. Come and don't come. But the only thing we need to understand is that we all have a gift that the Creator gave us. Now, me as a parent is to be there and ask myself, what is my child's gift?
Gifted in, yes.
And how can I nurture it to bring it to fruition? Other than me trying to give them the gift that I did not have, so they can have it. Maybe it's not meant for them. Right? So those are some of the reasons. Those are some of the reasons as to why we struggle. We feel we want them to go, but we cannot help them go because we have not been there. They want them to stay. Now because we stayed and saw the repercussions, now we don't want them to stay. But the things we can also do is that we can look out, look out. That's why when you travel these international schools abroad, you find they have their teachers actually play second roles to their parents. They look at these kids and understand that they are good at this. Now they will recommend them to go and do it as a co-curricular. Now, as they go to do it, they find a coach, they find a mentor, they find a teacher, they find somebody to support them. Somebody who tells them, you know what, you can achieve it, you can do it. But the mentality here in Africa, for a fact, is that the only thing we think that for me to be successful, for you to be successful, you need to go to school, get a degree, and you'll get a job. But we have seen statistically that no longer works. Because if most of the unemployed guys here in Uganda are the ones that have degrees, then that means there's something missing in our education system. right? And that comes with the life skills, the things me and you talk about, right? Get to know yourself, get to understand your strength and your weakness, and then get to learn how to learn, get to be emotionally intelligent, get to know your beliefs, your thoughts, your character, how to communicate. Those are things that we don't learn. Now we are dilly-dallying to say go and don't go because we do not know even what the world needs, right? So for me, I strongly believe that for us to help our children move forward and help us as well move forward, the things we need to do are give them the space, let them be, let them sprout. You know, there is this story of a very young man who was staying with his grandfather, and he always saw people in that village coming to his father, asking him questions, grandfather asking him questions, and he considered him to be the smartest and the wisest. So he's like, no, you know what? Let me test this old man. He cannot beat me in wisdom. So he went out in the field and got a butterfly and came to the old man and asked him, Grandpa, I have a butterfly in my hands. I want you to guess whether it is dead or it is alive. Now, this grandpa looked at the child and told him, you know what? The life of that butterfly is in your hands. If I say it is alive, you'll squash it and kill it. If I say it is dead, you let it go. So you have a choice to make. The same thing as parents. We have a choice to make. Either we make our kids to be what they are meant to be or what we want them to be. That is a choice we make. But remember, satisfaction does not come from what somebody makes of you. It comes from what you make out of yourself. So it is up to us to give them the space to understand that, yes, it is possible. Let us support them and help them become.
By the way, yeah, thanks so much, Doctor. By the way, most of the problems we are having so much these days in line of career guidance, we are having a problem whereby a parent wants something and a child wants something. So they are failing to come on the same table when it comes to choosing courses, choosing combinations, choosing subjects. A parent wants something else and a child wants something else. So we are having, maybe they are struggling in that line, failing to recognize the gifts of their children and also knowing how best to help them, nurture them in their specific gifts. Doctor, this takes me to a question of, we've seen some children who are introverted and others extroverted. And parents, we have a myth these days that children who are extroverted are the ones good in leadership. Even when it comes to schools, they will go out for those children who are extroverted because they believe they are the ones who are outspoken, they are the ones who will be able to lead others, to communicate, giving no chance to those children who are introverted. So how can we help such children who are introverted also to come out as Moro's trailblazers? Yeah, how can we give them a chance?
Yeah, you know, it's a myth. For example, a river that floods destroy as much as the silent river. Just because the other one is so silent, but day after day, it eats up the bank. No, slowly, it's up the banks. It's up the banks. By the time you know it, it has already gotten to your home. But it takes it time for you to see the effect of that river. Whereas we have this river that floods at once. It comes that night, destroys everything. The next day, it's back to normal. The same thing happens in leadership. I can give you a list. Winston Churchill was an introvert.
Yeah.
The guy who led America to independence, the one who was assassinated also, I'm forgetting his name, Jeff Kennedy. Jeff Kennedy was also an introvert. Now look at Napoleon Bonaparte, was an extrovert. Look at Hitler, was an extrovert. So we can, it's a balance.
Yeah.
I have not, it's just that we believe that people that talk too much, right? Because they expose themselves too much. We tend to believe that they're the ones that have the leadership skills. Yes, they may do.
Yeah, their abilities.
The abilities, yeah. Then we also tend to believe that those people that are so quiet also may possess the leadership skills. So it is not a matter of saying who speaks out loud and who is silent. It's a matter of who is saying what. You've had people who go to a podium and speak, right? And you'll be like, wow, this guy has spoke too much, but I've not understood anything. I'll give you a simple example. We know it from afar. We have this famous leader of ours here in Uganda, Mbide. Yeah, you've heard him speak. Very eloquent. But from me, he will speak, and I will pick one or two things. And yet we know leadership is about influence, right?
And communication, by the way, effective communication.
Absolutely. So if you cannot speak to influence me, then I have not understood you. You have not led me. Then we have silent ones. You've heard Mujisha Muntu. Mujisha Muntu is not very loud.
Yeah.
Quiet and principled man. He will speak once, but you will understand his principle. So whom should we get on the podium to say, okay, this one is better than the other? It's a question of what are you speaking, right? So for me, I would want us to move backwards before you categorize me as somebody to be an introvert, and you start saying that one, nothing good can come out of me, and maybe the other one is an extrovert, he speaks so much and something good will come out of him. That is a bad mentality. All we need to know is, in my quietness, in my introvert mode, am I communicating when I tend to communicate? Right? In my loud noise or in my loudness, am I able to communicate? So when at times we take on these leadership or communication skills for leaders, and we even never consider, I never want to ask people, you know what, have you spoken public? Have you not spoken public? Because you can speak, but what are you speaking? Right? So all we need to do is to give now people that for you, the information that for you to be able to speak in public, you should be knowledgeable about what you're speaking. Because there are two kinds for me to be influential or for me to influence. One, me as a speaker should be knowledgeable in what I'm speaking. And I should speak it from the level of the people that are going to receive it. Now, there should be willingness of the people that are going to receive it to listen to me and apply it. Now, it takes both the receiver and the communicator to have an understanding that this is where I want them to go and this is what I want them to do. And now we start building from that. And that does not necessarily mean that I need to be an introvert or I need to be an extrovert. No, it takes up the skill. Because in that skill, if you give me the skill, give me the knowledge, give me the understanding on how I can lead, then I can lead, regardless of my personality.
Yeah, I think, Doctor, that helps much when we are adults, but when it comes to children, you know that some children are even denied opportunities. For example, in schools, you find teachers just appointing leaders because someone is outspoken, and those who can't speak, I've even never had a teacher told me, your child does not perform well because she doesn't talk too much, so I can't know whether she knows or she doesn't know, just because she doesn't speak too much. So it means they gauge understanding depending on the outspokenness of the child. They even reach an extent of even appointing leaders, not giving them chances to express themselves, to know whether this one might be quiet, but maybe she could do something. They sometimes don't give them chance to express themselves. So how are we going to help such children? What message do you send to the teachers, to the parents on how to help to spot out those introverted children and how to help them? Yeah.
You see, it's already a problem. When we tend now to categorize people as one being an introvert and another being an extrovert. Because when I think they're an introvert, I already think there is a problem with them. No, there is no problem. That's how they are. Let me ask you, what correlation is there between me who speaks a lot and me being, let me use the word, knowledgeable? There's no correlation. Actually, the people who speak out a lot and are never knowledgeable, they're just noisy.
Sometimes.
Yes. And the other person who's quiet and listening actually is receiving. Because when we talk about communication, it's not all about speaking. It's about the silence. in understanding what is being communicated. So the first thing we need to eliminate is categorizing people as introverts and extroverts. Now, we need to honor people the way they are, understand them the way they are. Trust me, everyone has a strength. But are we able to focus on that strength? Me, I'll be looking at him and, that kid is an introvert. But in his quietness, what is he doing right that I can focus on and build? If he's too loud, extrovert, okay, talks too much, but is there something about him that is good that I can harness and make better?
Do you know that these days there is even a myth that if a child is quiet, it means he's spoiling something. So it means someone can't be quiet for even a single minute. They look out for the child and they're like, that child must be spoiling something. Why is he quiet?
So it's a mentality. The earlier we eliminate that categorization or personalization of people, then the better we start looking out at their strength and looking out at their weaknesses and trying to empower them and encourage them to become good at that of which they are good at, not at what we think they should be good at.
Thanks so much, Doctor. As we come to the a half of an hour of our program, so far we are on the Euroforum platform, Parenting Pathways program. We are diving deep into raising tomorrow's trailblazers with Dr. Gordon here and me, Janatia here, your host tonight. The technical team will take us into a short break, and then we shall come back with the second part of our program. Yes, Mr. Moses, kindly take us into a short break.
Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Yes, welcome back from that short break. We are still talking about raising tomorrow's trailblazers, nurturing resilience and leadership into our children right from infancy. Janatia here with Dr. Gardner. Doctor, from what we've been talking about, how can a parent out there or a caretaker or a teacher start modeling resilience and problem solving to their children from as early as possible, from the infants? Because we would like to nurture these traits into our children, but how can we model it as parents or as caretakers right from infancy, from as young as possible?
Yes, Janet, I'll ask. I've got this question in different forums, and they ask more or less the same thing, but in different words. My answer has been very simple. You cannot give what you don't have. We cannot start teaching our children how to be resilient, yet we are not resilient. Because children are mirrors. You know, a mirror reflects what is, not what should be. If you go to a mirror, when you're angry, it will show you angry. If you go when you're happy, it will show you happy. Now, for us to teach our children, then we should first teach ourselves. Now, when we understand it, then we are able to replicate it. And for us to be able to replicate it, then one, there should be that willingness for you to share the story. The willingness to share your story. Because it's out, when you look at our forefathers, they used to gather around the fireplace. when the sun sets. And the mindset behind there was very simple: to gather stories of what had transpired in their lives so that it can be passed on to their children. When they share the story that when he was moving out and he met this hyena, and because the hyena was a little bit taller, he had to look for a tree to put on top of his head. If you've watched The Gods Must Be Crazy, because hyenas fear something that is taller than them. They would not have known it if their father or their grandfather had not shared that story. So the first thing we need to know and understand is that we need to be willing to share the story to them, that they can understand and pick 1, 2, or 3 things to learn from. The other is that we need to not only tell, but also show. You know, most of us, you've heard of that story, I'm very sure, of the man who was trying to teach the child how to be patient. And every time I was telling him, you know what, telling the child, you need to be patient, 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 patient. But when they went to the traffic light and it hit green, he was the guy who was hooting, hooting at people, saying, hey, these guys are not moving, not moving. Why? So what you are trying to tell the child, actually, the child did not perceive it, because the child asked the father, but you're teaching us to be patient. But you're not, you're being impatient. So most cases, preach what you exactly do. And when you do it as you taught it, then they will learn. And the third aspect that we have failed to do as parents is that we have failed to involve our children. When you look at the Jews, when you look at the Indians, when you look at the Arabs, those people have become successful because they involve their children. Actually, even the Muslims, when you go to town and look at these arcades, you'll find the Hajat is the daughter or the son. They are working. And tomorrow, this child will pick up the skills unconsciously and run the business. So they will see you balancing, and you're like, today we have failed. I've made a loss of 10,000. I've made a loss of 1 million. I've made a loss of 30,300. And you're there trying to make, they are watching. Tomorrow when they make a loss of 10,000, be like, I saw mom struggling to fill up this. How can I also fill it up? So we need to involve. So those are the 3 basic things I think we can do to reflect, to show these kids or these children that actually there is that level of resilience and there is that level of leadership that is within us, which is not leading others, but leading thyself, as they say.
Yeah. By the way, what you talked about, when we model or when we tell them our stories, or when they know what we are going through, they will even know how you came out of that problem, even if you don't explain to them actually, because tomorrow they are also going to go through the same problems. Doctor, talking about relating with our children, how does our love as parents influence the ability for our children to lead with compassion and integrity? The parental love, because some parents are like, if you want to nurture your children well, you don't have to show them that much love, or you don't have to be friends with them. So how is our love going to show our children, give them the ability to lead with integrity and compassion?
There is a story of a very old man. He was blind. But every time he walked at night, he would carry a lantern, a lamp. And most people would meet him, would laugh at him. They're like, look at this old. First of all, he's old and blind. Why is he carrying a lamp? So one day they got the courage to stop him and ask him, stop showing us your stupidity. You're blind, you're carrying a lamp for what? And the old man told them, this lamp actually is not for me. It is for you who have eyes but do not see. So I light it so that you should see me. Because for me, I know where I'm going, but you who have eyes can't see me. It's the same thing. Love is just like a lantern. It does not choose whom it should light for. And the same thing is with love. We need, at times we have decided whom to love, whom our children should love, whom our kids should talk to, whom our kids should play with. And yet when you get a child and take them to the park, they are happy together as kids. But because of our mentality as parents, we now want to choose for them. No, don't talk to strangers. What's wrong with talking with strangers? Before this urbanization and digitalization and industrialization, we never had, as traditional African societies, we never had gates, we never had locks, we never had, it was an open space that you'd run to any neighbor and play with any neighbor and talk to anyone. But the advancement of technology and urbanization now came into play. You find there is a gate, there's a star, there is a secayola, there is a camera, there are those barbed wires that have electricity, there is protection. That means we choose who is to come in. But for us to be able to show our kids that actually love is unconditional, we need to apply it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they see, they understand. And this gives them confidence and belief that, you know what, we are social creatures, we can connect and relate. The second thing is that if we don't have love, we cannot be empathetic. I normally tell people that humility, the simplest understanding of humility is love. If you have humility, you have empathy. You look at other person the way you look at yourself. You do unto others the way you want them to do unto you. And this is what you replicate with the kids. And finally, the other thing we can do is to encourage them, right? Support them, regardless. You've heard stories of where, now we are talking about adults and kids, where somebody is supposed to marry another person whom they don't love, maybe because of status quo, because of background, because of culture, because of friendship, right? But when you bring somebody from a different tribe, they're like, no, you cannot do that. But we need to support them to understand that that is what they have chose. And let us be there. Now, that's how we reflect. Because even them, tomorrow, that's what they do. There's a lot of study that happened. They were trying to understand the correlation between families that are violent, where we have maybe the father beating up the wife or the wife beating up the husband. And they came to believe that children who are born from violent homes tend to become violent as well. Because they will do onto what they saw their parents do.
They know that's how things are supposed to be done.
Absolutely. It's normal. That's normal business, right? Because they observe and see. So as parents, we need to understand that we are a lantern. Choose it and tell them that, as long as you have understood what you want, what you love, that is it. Then we go in and support. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, Doctor. Doctor, you can't give what you don't have, but parents, I think this is going right to you, because some parents think that in order to bring out a righteous child, you don't even have to laugh with those children, because maybe they will take you for granted, maybe they won't take what you say. So, but I think Doctor brought it out very well. Parents out there, if you're out there and you are unsure of whether you're doing the right thing, or you're unsure of whether you're preparing your children enough for the future, you're not sure of that, please type yes in the chat box or no, so that we can know where we fall. We are all in this boat together, and it's not bad to have questions within you. And it's not bad to get clarity or to get some guidance, because this is what we are doing right here on this platform tonight. Doctor, from our discussions, if you can give a takeaway to parents out there from what we've talked about, what could it be?
I think my takeaway from this discussion would be, let's be like water. I think that was Bruce Lee's famous quote, be like water. Water can bring down a skyscraper. If it's persistent and consistent, day in, day out, it will move slowly as it eats up the foundation. By the time you know it, the skyscraper is down. Water is also resilient. You put it in a glass, it will. You put it in a pipe, it will. You put it in a pot, anything will be. So if we can understand that mentality and be there to watch and observe and help and support, then our children will be better. That's what I would conclude with. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Doctor, for that takeaway. Maybe parents, thanks so much, Doctor, for sharing with us these words of wisdom and also these practical tips on how basically we can nurture resilience and leadership into our children so that they can be trailblazers of tomorrow. Parents, you just know that whatever you sow is what you reap. So it would be better to sow these seeds of love, seeds of compassion, seeds of resilience, seeds of love, as we've talked about, so that we can bring out better leaders of tomorrow. Let's continue the journey together. Always keep in touch with us on the Parenting Pathways Euroforum UG as we explore more and more stories and challenges of parenthood, and also to see how best to come out to nurture our children into the best leaders and trailblazers of tomorrow. As we say bye-bye to you, Doctor, in 1 or 2 minutes, kindly tell us maybe how can someone approach you, or do you have any organization or dealing in such issues?
Okay, yes. As Alion said, we have two organizations. The first organization is Mind Heritage, and the other is Conscious Awareness and Mind Growth Academy, which is the academy that trains in 5 things. 1, self-knowledge. The second aspect or pillar is the art of learning with comprehension. Then the third pillar is the emotional intelligence. The fourth pillar is thinking. How do we think? Thinking is a skill. And the fifth pillar is communication intelligence. Now, all these 5 aspects are there to empower mind and transform lives, because we believe that if you have these 5 skills, then you're a very holistic individual. Now, Mind Heritage is a company that is registered in Uganda, and it's located in Ntinda. Those that come from Ntinda, those that know in Ntinda, it's in Kampala, Ntinda, along Chambogo Road. So if you can get there, I can give you my contacts. It's +256 760 25 16 25. Or you can visit us, or if you want to contact me in person, you can go to my website. Is www.gardnerrh.com.
Yes. Thanks so much, Doctor, and thanks for doing the great work out there, because many people need these services, the parents and everyone out there. Dear viewers, I've been Janatia here, Nagolola, your host tonight, one of the hosts of Euroforum UG. I'm a parenting coach and CEO Mind Your Child. So thanks for being with us tonight. Always keep in touch with us. We shall always be coming back to you with these programs on every 2 Wednesdays in a month. Keep leading in faith, keep leading in compassion, and raise good trailblazers of tomorrow. Thanks so much. From me to you is a good night. Oh, yes, please.
Yes, before we say good night, I was thinking through this as you're making your closing submission. You know, when we deal with parents, or when we're trying to deal with kids or children, we are trying to deal with parents. And as parents, we always want our legacies to continue. We are trying to secure the future for our children. So there's one aspect I've forgotten to tell our viewers, that at Mind Heritage, another component we do is to ensure the future of our kids and ensure our own future. So we do financial advising, insurance advising, those that really want policies to secure the future, secure the kids, you know, education, life, health, and also plan better. They can also contact us, because it's one way of empowering us so that we can transform us. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for that highlight.
Janet.
Yes, please.
Yes, I see you're actually winding up, but I have one question to Dr. Gardner.
Yes,
Actually,
please.
for me, but and also maybe to a viewer out there. Among the things that Dr. Gardner works with is training children or people how to think. Did I get you right, Dr. Gardner?
Yes, yes.
It's just a hint. How it sounds really disturbing. How can someone be trained how to think? Just in a few seconds. I'm sorry, Janet, for eating all your time.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's just out of curiosity, and maybe someone watching this could find a clear reason to reach out to Dr. Gardner.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. You know, it's quite interesting that also me the first time it came to me, I asked myself, hey, remember I'm a lawyer by profession, and one of the things they teach us as lawyers is they tell us think outside the box, but nobody has ever come up to really teach us how to think in detail. Now, most of us or most of our listeners should have heard of critical thinking. It's the norm. But critical thinking is just one pillar out of the 5 thinking types. There are 5. I'll bring them up to speed to show you that actually there is much that we do not know when it comes to thinking. We have 1 critical thinking that many of us know. We have linear thinking. We have strategic thinking. We have parallel thinking, and we have lateral thinking. These 5 thinking styles or types are quite different. And how you apply them is quite different. But when you've understood and learned the 5 skills, it comes unconscious. You start thinking between the lines, as they say. Either you're going to apply this or that or that or that. So it is a skill, yes, for information. It is a skill that we learn. It's more or less like the art of learning. I'm very sure many of us go to school, get degrees, go get masters and PhDs, but nobody has ever come up to teach us actually how to learn. Learning is a skill. Why is it me, I can read a book and come 5 years, I still remember everything in that book? Yet for you, you read the same book. In 2 days, you can't remember nothing. Why is it that I can read a book and I pick out the principles and I relate and work and bring them into manifestation? And you read the book and bring out nothing. So these are some of the things that we believe that for us to be holistic, we need to learn. But the challenge is that many of us do not know that actually they can be learned. And this is the platform. And this is the time for us to now think past the norm and think extra to become extra. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Moses, have you been answered?
No, he scratched where it itched the most. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah, by the way, it's so much interesting because so many people are talking about maybe critical thinking, but they don't go into details of teaching us how to think. So if we can do this for people, for children, then that's a great area. And thanks so much for the work, Dr. Gardner. Yeah, dear viewers out there, we are running short of time. Thanks so much for listening in, for viewing our shows, and for always coming up whenever we approach you with any show. So thanks so much for being here, always on Euroforum UG, and also tuning in to the Parenting Pathways, a program where we come out with a lot of topics about children, how to explore the challenges and to navigate how exactly to nurture our children into the best versions out of themselves. Today, my last word to you is to lead with faith, lead with integrity, lead with compassion so that you can raise good trailblazers of tomorrow. Thanks so much for everyone. From me to you is a good night or a good evening from wherever you are. Till next time, it will be a Wednesday. We shall communicate. See you then.
To Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows us every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.